Bonjour, bienvenue à la bière digestif. That was my fake French introduction. Hello and welcome to Digesting Beer avec Stefan. Me, Stefan. And on the docket tonight is Foley Brothers Maiden Imperial IPA, as they call it. A very small brewery, I believe, with a cool, I believe it's actually pencil drawn label there. Looks very lo-fi. And this brewery has only been available for maybe a year and a half around in Massachusetts. And this beer in particular, I had just one little sample of, I think, when it first became available in Massachusetts. And since then, I just haven't had it for no really good reason. I remember back then it was a little expensive and it was in smaller bottles. And also, it's kind of hard with this brewery because they don't list bottle dates or codes or give you any guess or hint or anything at exactly how fresh the bottles are. I mean, they sell pretty well at most beer stores where people go to who like good hoppy beer. But it says drink this beer fresh also, and it's like, how do we know exactly how fresh it is? But this one showed up at the liquor store I went to today, so I'm sure it is enough fresh for me at least. And it's 8.2% alcohol. Foley Brothers are from Brandon, Vermont, and their brewery doesn't even seem to have a website. It's kind of confusing figuring out exactly what the deal is with their brewery. Some sources say that it's a part of the Neshoba family brewing company, but I can't find much info about them. I didn't look too much though. I was mainly just looking to see what the hops and the deal is on this beer, and I ended up finding a Beer Advocate review from almost 2 years ago where someone says they use 7 hops here, 5 of which are Citra, Cascade, Amarillo, Simcoe, and Magnum. So a big mixture, but there is Citra in it, and it was the first one they listed here. So maybe that's one that stands out quite a bit. When I first had it, I thought it was kind of part of the new tropical, interesting flavor of IPAs that are popping up or have been popping up in New England for a while now, and I liked it quite a bit. I thought it was a little more interesting than their regular IPA, and they have had at least 1 or 2 different double IPAs come out recently. They're supposed to be very good too, that I stupidly didn't buy because I was like, it's expensive and I don't know what the date is. I guess maybe I care too much about that, but I don't know. I don't know if you can care too much about dating, because buying a great IPA that's 2 months old or even more than that, is never fun. But let's drink this beer. And it's got a little shaken up slightly in my bag when I was walking home. So I think there are some little teeny particulates in there. Otherwise, it looked to be rather clear for New England, Vermont IPA, as you can see. You can see my upside down head through there. But it smells very good already. It smells almost like it just poured a Trillium beer or something. And the carbonation is about medium, not super high. It didn't get shaken up too much in my bag, I should say that. And a pretty firm white soapy head. But since the medium low carbonation almost is there, it's not making the head stick around too hardcore. But ooh, that is big. A big kind of bubblegum, spicy, a little piney aroma. It almost smells like a Belgian IPA. Well, I'm sure it's not. I think they just use a good amount of a little bit like a sweet malt in there. But I'm getting bubblegum, some passion fruit, definitely. Some mango. A lot of cotton candy, maybe more cotton candy than bubblegum. It's not quite that much on the fruity ester side. Maybe slight banana. It's peachy. Yeah, definitely a lot of peach too. I would say it's pretty citra forward. This beer, the aroma is rather large too, and it doesn't smell like it's old at all. It smells very fresh. But they get a lot of aroma, especially for a beer that's not super carbonated, because some beers out there that have lots of carbonation are just like pushing bubbles of the aroma out a lot. But this is doing it without a lot of carbonation, which is very nice. It proves that you can do that. But I feel like there is a kind of a spicy, a little bit of hot dankness in there. It's not quite super herbal and oniony quite yet. It's mostly on a sort of candy, fruity, almost a strawberry hard candy. A little bit of like watermelon hard candy too. And just a little toast. Not quite, it's not buttery, but there's a little bit of a malty, kind of malted feeling going onto it. Almost like malted milk, but not buttery. And there is that kind of a hot spiciness too, but it's not boozy smelling to me. Not like really fusely alcohol or anything like that, like nail polish remover or anything. It smells very nice. Ooh. Yeah, a little heat in the nasal passages, but it carries on with the candy malt, especially in the finish. But on the tongue, it's got a little bit of toast. Now it smells a little different after getting that first sip. It's really nice. It's a lot of the familiar hoppy flavors, but just done slightly differently. I think it's probably the yeast brings out just a little different character of the hops. Almost a full body. It's firm. Good amount of bitterness, not too much though. And the sweetness is not quite as much as I expected from the smell. It's definitely there, but it also has that really earthy, kind of piney, citrus peel quality going on in it. That kind of reminds me of older fashioned West Coast IPAs and all that such. It's not pure fruit, but there's a lot of fruit going on. So it's got a big fruity, sweet aroma, and then just a little bit on the tongue, and a little bit in the aroma. There's that spicy, piney quality to it, but not too much. And it finishes as being pretty dry. There's just a tad bit of a sort of spicy, hot, earthy alcohol in the finish. That's not my favorite on the back of the tongue. It reminds me a little bit of the Bootleg Fireworks, which is another double IPA with a boatload of different hops. This one I think is a lot better than that one. It has a lot stronger of an aroma, and it's fruitier. Makes it clear that actually all these different hops were used, and I can actually taste flavors from those hops that I've experienced before. But I feel like maybe having it be this cleared out may have ended up making it a little bit different. Not quite as much of that soft, juicy New England style that everyone loves. It finishes being a little bit grainy, toasty, and bitter with a little bit of a lingering heat, and an unpleasant, earthy, kind of woody bitterness a little bit. It's a little bit too much. But I think I probably like the aroma the most. Yeah, and with each sip I kind of lose that nice tropical fruit, juicy candy quality going on it in there. It's not quite as mango-y and cotton candy-y. Now it's kind of like, tastes like you put a little bit of malt extract on some cotton candy or something, and sprinkled it with some like powdered bitter hops, if that's possible. Pretty enjoyable, but I think this is probably one for people who really like sort of the stone double IPAs that are really pretty malty and toasty with a little bit of sweetness, but real bitter and kind of harsh in the finish, because that's kind of what double IPAs used to be all about, not necessarily anymore. But it's got plenty of that juicy tropical qualities in the front end to make it a really pretty good beer, but it's not my favorite. Makes me wonder exactly how fresh this is, and if I got it somehow the day it was bottled, it would be a little better, but it doesn't. I'm not tasting any old hop flavors or noticing anything like that. And the aroma was so strong that I feel like it's still pretty darn fresh. There's really nothing too wrong with this beer, I'd say. A lot of people wouldn't point out the flaws that I'm saying as flaws at all, maybe. But I'm just going to give it like an 8. Yeah, maybe a 7 3/4 or something out of 10. Because I'm kind of actually a little disappointed after a few sips. The flavor kind of devolves a little bit into just a standard good fresh West Coast double IPA. But it's worth a try. I'd like to try their other double IPAs now. Maybe they have a different mix of hops or do something slightly different. But I feel like they're all going to be kind of similar if they use the same yeast and let the yeast and all the sediment fall to the bottom after a few days in the bright tank or using whatever clarifying agent. And it turns into something that's not quite as juicy and soft and fresh as some of the other New England options. So I guess, yeah, about 8 out of 10 from me. Goodbye.